Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Josh Scorcher about the top 10 final levels. Let's hop in and see how these stories ended.
Stories begin and stories end. At least that's how it usually goes. More often than not, the final level of a game doesn't automatically mean it's our final destination. If anything, it only means it's where everything we've learned or endured comes together.
It's a
And the
climax.
story has reached its climax. And if the endgame arena manages to knock our socks off through storytelling and level design, the journey will be even more worth it. While
That's
researching
right.
this, I kind of noticed a pattern with some of these level choices. Some franchises just have the same ones over and over.
Bowser's Castle.
Yep.
Hyrule Castle.
Yep.
The moon.
Oh.
Death
Well, look at that.
Egg.
Huh.
Death Egg.
That's right.
Victory Road.
Of course.
Victory Road.
Of course.
Victory Road.
I mean, they're all just called Victory Road.
Victory Road. Victory Road.
Okay, so
Go
uniqueness
say that like
isn't
9
a
more
strict
times.
requirement.
Victory Road.
Oh no, he crashed. Whoops. Typically with Majora's Mask, you can stay inside the moon. Because you're not on the moon, you get like pulled into it by Majora's energy or power, whatever you want to say. Bum, bum, bum. Let's go. No, wait a minute. Goowald? Well, on to number 10.
3D
It's...
platformers, you know them, I know them, and one of the things that absolutely makes them are their levels.
Of course.
Level design is paramount when the majority of the game involves you running around these worlds to collect every single little goodie you can find.
Or fly-offs, or
and
more
nobody
anything.
understood this idea like Rareware. Between the
Ooh,
Banjo
Donkey Kong?
duology and DK64, every Rareware stage was filled to the brim with personality and breathtaking scale. Yes, they could be too big for their own good sometimes. Grunty Industries. But most of the time, these worlds are
Well,
amazing.
alright.
And if DK64 taught us anything, it's how to end a game with a bang. Welcome to
Damn.
Hideout Helm, the inner fortress of the Kremlin crew and K. Rool's lair. Throughout the whole game, cutscenes showed this place as K. Rool's patience with his minions' incompetence and failures grew thinner and thinner. He wants DK Isle wiped off the map, and as you enter,
look at that
K.
eye.
Rool has had enough. He tells his minions to fire the Blastomatic. Even if it destroys him in the process, he wants those Kongs dead. To reflect this, you're on a
Oh,
time limit,
jeez.
and depending on how many blueprints you've collected prior, this could range from 50 to 11 minutes. If you don't
Oh,
shut
good
down Cable's
God.
machine, it's game over. Unlike other stages, you're not collecting much here. You have to race through the hideout's defenses and make
Gotta
it to
run.
the inner chamber where the Blastomatic is. Not even going into the tag barrel stops the timer. You have to hurry. Then, every Kong has their time to shine. To deactivate the
Ooh,
Blastomatic,
here we
every
go.
Kong faces 2 specifically designed minigames in K. Rool's own industrial bonus barrels, testing their skills and your abilities with them. With each Kong completing
You
their
got
games,
it.
another sector of the machine is shut down before the timer finally stops and you save DK Isles.
Whew,
With his
that
plans
was
foiled,
close.
K. Rool flees his ship and leaves you to loot the, well, Helm and his own throne room, assuming you've collected the necessary battle crowns and coins to unlock everything.
Nice.
The ticking clock, K. Rool's descent into madness, threatening his own men, and the music selling the desperation and urgency of the situation, Hideout Helm has the absolute finality needed to cap off the mammoth of a game that is Donkey Kong
Rhino.
64. Either the Kongs come out of it victorious, or not at all. For as much as people rag
Oh,
on
yeah.
DK64 for its length or backtracking, you have to give it credit when it's due, and Hideout Helm is certainly worth getting to after everything. Yes, even you, barrel minigames.
Really now?
You.
I'm guessing you're not a fan of that. Well, we move from the Monkey of 10 to number 9, and it's...
But the game series as rich with intricate levels
Ooh,
as Pikmin,
Pikmin?
it's only fair that the last hurdles of these games would really put your resources and strategic knowledge to the test. Unfortunately, we can't put the Final Trial or Formidable Oak here, since they're both boss levels, and Wistful Wild would have made it in if not for that dang grind! So that leaves us with Pikmin 4's Primordial Thicket. Unlike every other level of
Alright.
the game, This area
I have the game, I have yet to play it, and I don't mind a little bit of spoiler.
has next to no man-made influence. While the other levels take place in a park, a sandbox, or a house, this one is purely in the wild. Shrubbery,
Ooh.
mud, and poisonous fungi as far as the eye can see. This area is home to some of the toughest enemies in the game. Bog swallows that suck up Pikmin, tall enemies like
wow.
grubchuckers and baldy longlegs, and many poisonous adversaries
Oh,
that
good
impede
God.
every route. Oh, and one of the games has a Smoky Prog in it. You know,
Whoa.
this fellow that can kill your Pikmin instantly with a gesture? Yeah, this guy. Mud, being the most prevalent hazard in this area, is also the one hazard Oatchi can't traverse. So you won't be able to cheese your way
Incredible.
against everything with your Super Doggo this time. However, you can freeze it provided you have enough ice Pikmin at your disposal. Good luck taking 100 of them to freeze the dungeons, though.
That's
and courtesy to a
useful,
final level in a
I
game where
think.
purple Pikmin exists, there's a treasure that requires 1,000 Pikmin to carry.
That's a
Traverse
full
long enough into
100.
the wilderness, and you'll eventually have one last duel against Louie and finally take Olimer's dog, Moss, off his hands. Louie, however, is still out and about, and your pursuit of him eventually leads you to the discovery of the Cavern for a King. Home
Ooh,
to the
good
game's
name.
most devastating creatures, and at the bottom of it awaits your greatest challenge against Pikmin's most powerful ancient creature, a big pupper.
Oh yeah,
The
very
thicket
big
itself
pup.
is overall a very well-built level, though compared to other picks on this list, it doesn't have as much of a grand, story-driven weight to speak of. Really, what gives this level as much significance as it does is just more Pikmin 4. Previous games only had 4 main areas with sometimes one final boss area.
Yeah,
We get the
sometimes.
extra mile here with not only each level being massive and complex, but we get 6 of them.
Ooh,
And it's just the right degree
love
of
it.
giving us more content without being overwhelming.
And from the Pikmin of 9, we move to number 8, and it's...
When it comes to the end games for the Pokemon franchise, most of the time they follow the same
Okay.
formula. Grind your way past
Oh, so that must mean we'll be going to Area Zero.
every gym leader, traverse your way through Victory Road, beat the Elite Four, and claim your crown as the champion. After that, the main story is usually over, and all that's left is post-game content or finding/catching the legendaries.
True.
Scarlet and Violet, however, changed the formula in a major way. The story doesn't end with you becoming the champion. Instead, once you complete the 3 major storylines, there's one last part of Paldea left to explore. The Great Crater has been a
Oh, yeah.
looming, mysterious presence since the beginning,
The
forbidden
Area
to students
Zero.
and young trainers. But with our rivals by our side, it's time to bust this mystery wide open. Within the crater is Area Zero, an unstable landscape full of aggressive and very familiar looking Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
Along with several research stations. Okay,
Abandoned.
nothing too extreme yet. All the
With no
while, this
signs.
haunting music made by Toby Fox himself is repeating in the background, giving a weirdly sacred.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did Toby Fox? Did you just say Toby Fox made the music? Oh wow! I actually didn't know that. I didn't know that Nintendo actually got Toby Fox to make the music for Area Zero. That's incredible.
Repeating in the background, giving a weirdly sacred feeling to the place, like a Garden of Eden. And you can't shake the feeling you're not supposed to be here. And then we get to the very bottom of the pit. We
There
find
it
a
is.
foreboding abandoned lab home to an AI version of Professor Sada/Turo, our buddy Arvin's estranged parent.
That's
Take
right.
note of the sun tone shift the minute we enter the new domain. No music whatsoever. Just an unsettling
yeah, that's
atmosphere
right.
and a lot of questions we don't know if we
Silence.
want answered. As it turns out, the original professor died long ago and had created a time machine to bring Paradox Pokemon from the past or future to our time, and the AI reached out to us to help it stop what its late counterpart started.
That's right.
But the minute you try, the AI's programming causes it to go rogue and challenge you to one last Pokemon battle. Halfway through, it decides to cheat, forcing you to rely on your new
Just
legendary
click.
buddy/bike to take it out once and for all. It's just astounding how
And of course, they take the book with them, leaving you with no actual evidence or guide into any of this. So it's like, hey, just great. The main key item we had from the beginning is no longer in our possession. That's great. That is, until you play the DLC. And once you beat the Indigo Disc, if you take, I think, the book that you're given from Vel to the I can't remember it, the spring back in the first DLC, you can actually have interaction with the Doctor themselves pulled from the past. And I mean actually pulled from the past. It's the Doctor themselves, not the AI, causing you to then become the first domino effect that results in all of this, the game itself.
How much of a tone shift Area Zero was compared to its predecessors. Having all of your rivals throughout the game following you into the unknown is surreal as it is, but this is arguably the most atmospheric final level in the series. The
Oh,
deeper
truly.
you
Is
go
that a
down
shiny?
this rabbit hole, the more unsettled you feel, but the more interesting it gets.
Oh yeah,
Also,
beautiful.
dang it, I feel awful for Arvin. His parent was basically absent because of the little time-traveling folly, and now the only thing he has left of them is gone. Still,
Yep.
at least we got
Poof.
an eerie conclusion to the region's biggest mystery and the last main story of the game. You know, before she shows up.
Yeah, before the DLC. Well, we move on from the glorious Krator to number 7. It's...
The Zelda series is in absolutely no shortage of amazing dungeons. You check the book on legendary adventure game areas, about 50% of that thing's gonna have the various landmarks found in 3D Zeldas.
Oh, hell
and the
yeah.
2D ones ain't lacking either. It's a bit of a tradition
I like
in Zelda
Skyward
to have the
Sword.
final
I beat
dungeon
it.
be some sort of corrupted version of Hyrule's capital. Hyrule Castle shows up as a dungeon in so many games, we can make a countdown alone of top 10 Hyrule castles. Well, let's
Ooh,
not have
put that
another
in the
mini
back
countdown
pocket.
inside a countdown. Because one Hyrule Castle stands head and shoulders above the rest. Enter Breath of the Wild.
Ah, the Calamity Castle.
Unlike other games, Breath of the Wild's Hyrule has been splintered and destroyed for years since the game began. The world is practically a desolate wasteland infested with monsters, and at the center, always visible, is Hyrule Castle. With its form being
That's
shadowed
right.
by the storm of malice that is Calamity Ganon, it imposes no matter where you look, a constant reminder of what you need to do. Thanks to Breath of the Wild's free form of progression, you can go there at any time, but once you do, the game's tone shifts dramatically.
Oh, completely.
Marching up to the imposing gates of this bastion is spine-chilling. And once the music kicks in, it really feels like there's no going back. Hyrule Castle is a seemingly impenetrable fortress swarmed with guardians and monsters of all shapes and sizes,
That's right.
including several Lynels. You're a one-man siege and it feels like it. Breath of the Wild's environmental storytelling is on full display here. Your somber trek up this ruined castle isn't all stacked against you though. Should
Ooh,
you
there's
bring
a
along the
shrine.
Master Sword, it permanently glows at full strength at all times so long as you're here. And in the basement, guarded by a Stelnox, you can find the iconic Hylian shield, which in this game has
Perfect.
such high stats, it feels like it'll never break. Make
It
it to
still
the top
can, though.
though, and you'll find Calamity Ganon, incubating in the center like some pulsating organ. And if you
Like an
didn't
egg.
commit yourself to purging Hyrule from the Blight Ganons, they all show up, one by one, to defend their master.
That's
the
right.
sheer flexibility of Hyrule Castle's level design
That's actually one thing that many people actually try to do. See how many times they can beat it in different ways. It's like only going after one of the divine beasts or going after none of them. Or anything you can think of. Hell no, some people that are literally going with nothing but a tree branch and still kick butt.
also makes it pretty fun to do challenge runs, where you ignore the main quest and run straight for the center with 3 hearts and a dream. Remember,
Oh my God, I
you can
just said
tackle
that.
this at any time. That said, the entire game builds up to this moment. Blighted Hyrule Castle doesn't feel so much as a level as much as an event, a goal in itself. With the hands-off approach to storytelling this game gives, Hyrule Castle manages to tell a story on its own with just the music,
Oh,
the
yeah.
atmosphere, and the level design.
that's
Against
it.
all odds, the hero of courage has appeared once more to restore this ruined land and destroy the evil that's plagued the world for generations. It's absolute cinema.
Troy Ganon. And from the darkened castle of 7, we move to number 6. And it's...
In a world pre-Thousand Year Door remake, Bug Fable served as the love letter to Paper Mario fans that aided in filling a void left by the series' more
Yeah, that's right.
disappointing installments. Like its plumber predecessor, world building is one of Bug Fable's strong suits. Everywhere in the world of the game seems to revolve around natural bug habitats, termite caves, beehives, ant colonies, etc. But when you look at the bigger
A lot of
picture,
bugs.
Bugaria is a human backyard.
Oh!
What a twist!
Those aren't random walls next to the desert chapter. It's a sandbox. Why is there a random body of water? It's a pond. Talking a lot
Yeah.
about big worlds for small creatures today, aren't we?
Oh yeah, that's 2 now.
Of course, every backyard is always behind something bigger, something a little
house.
more close to home. At the end of Chapter 5, after chasing the Wasp King to no avail, our heroes learn he's headed for Rubber Prison and subsequently the Giant's Lair, in hopes of seeking out the everlasting sapling. Their chase takes them there, and the Giant's Lair is an abandoned human kitchen.
Oh.
We are the Giants.
Well,
the
yeah, that's
Giants
kind of
Lair,
obvious.
aka the Deadlands, is Bug Fable's final ace where the bulk of the game's creep factor can be found, complete with outrageously buffed enemies and...
The cat. Oh, no. Just...
Quick question.
Something else.
Why in the unholy bug hell is the rumored secret to eternal life in an abandoned human kitchen guarded by giant eyeball abominations so horrendous that not even the roots of God are willing to go there? If it weren't for the final boss and ending of
Also, what actually is that thing? All we know is it's an eye and it drops bugs.
this game,
That's
I'm the
it.
entire convinced that the Deadlanders ate the everlasting sapling, considering how impossible they are to kill. The abandoned Hell's Kitchen will do their final level diligence and test your abilities with higher stakes.
Is that a
Between the
cannon?
Hell spawns in the final fight, it can be considered a bit of a difficulty spike, but not so much that it's frustrating. From a story perspective, the horror and toll of the Deadlands begs the question, is the sapling really worth it? Our main characters all have their own tender moments throughout the game. Vi goes through her entire savings to make amends with her sister. Leaf discovers he is the result of a cordyceps taking over the body of a moth, reuniting with the host's family. And Kabu mourns his lost adventure partners, vowing to protect Vi and Leaf from the same fate. The three heroes
Very
go through
well.
their personal trials as a team, and each of their quests is very emotional in the
Aww.
moment. Why go through all of the trouble of making it through the Giant's Lair just to have the component of what makes life so precious and special taken away? Honestly, this entry would have been ranked higher if the build-up had begun sooner. We never hear about the Giant's Lair until a few dialogue boxes before Chapter 6 officially begins. I also would have appreciated
kinda
if the
classic.
level was longer. Not that I need to fight more Deadlanders, heavens no, but what if we went through more of the home? A deserted living room, bathroom, bedroom. It really would
That
have
could be
added more to
something.
the atmosphere and mystery of what happened to these humans. With all that said,
Oh, huh.
it's still a challenging, creepy level that does a solid job of wrapping up the legend that started it all.
Incredible. From the mighty small world of bugs, we move on to number 5, and it's... What is it, Josh?
You can do this. One of the crown jewels of the indie game world, Celeste is a title that thrives on two
Oh, I've
things:
heard of this.
borderline NES level difficulty and consistently embodying its message in literal physical form. What I mean by this is that, say, when the game wants you to think about facing your doubts and fears, there you are, facing your doubts and fears. When the hotel manager is said to be a lost soul who feels like he's chasing customers away, there he is, a lost soul chasing customers away. Such is the
Okay,
case
that's
with the
kinda cool.
overarching theme of the game. Madeline must discover herself by climbing
Everything is literal.
her personal mountains. So you discover yourself by climbing Celeste Mountain. In Chapter 6, when an unsuccessful attempt at diplomacy between Madeline and her dark reflection, commonly referred to as Badeline, lands at the
Badeline.
very
Clever.
bottom of Celeste,
Clever.
her darkest hour has arrived. Why try to climb the mountain all over again when she's lost so much progress? What was the point? She climbs and confronts Badeline once more. The end of their battle
Whatcha?
results in a beautiful scene with Badeline more or less conceding, and Madeline comforting her with the knowledge that she isn't the bad part of her, just a different part that she must learn to understand and work with.
Mhm.
So they must climb the mountain once more, from the bottom up, together. Chapter 7 summit
Nice.
was Celeste's marathon, before Farewell wrung us dry, taking us through slightly altered segments of each game's chapters at somewhat harder difficulties, ensuring that you must master the game's platforming core to proceed. It's
That
an
seems
example
actually
of
fun.
reused content done well, which we definitely need more of. After making it through
Okami.
mirror segments, get it, of the 6 chapters, the true summit begins. Most of the segments are quite
3,000
enjoyable, really
meters.
showing how this game's design knows how to make intense difficulty appealing. Note that I said most of the segments, because reaching some of the strawberries made drinking acid seem refreshing.
Oh,
Falling
God.
down the mountain and having to face herself taught Madeline more than the first climb did, and now she can scale the mountain better than ever. You, the
Now that's
player,
success.
know these chapters. You know these mechanics, and now you can, in theory, play them better than ever. Celeste, albeit difficult, respects your abilities at the start
Oh yeah,
and
be proud of your death count.
your abilities to learn. It will reward you for
Oh god, now I'm actually curious. Do you think someone's actually beaten this game without dying once?
mastering what it brings to the table. There aren't many games out there where both the protagonist and you, the player, are treated to an equally satisfying, thematically parallel ending. Madeline's self-actualization with your evolving skills is the game's reward for summoning the issues in gameplay. Respectively, that brought each of you your toughest challenge yet. The game's
Incredible.
first words echo, "You can do this." And the more you play Celeste,
can
the more
do
you
this.
realize that message is both for Madeline and you. Madeline climbed her mountain, and you yours. You
Success.
are a mountain climber.
And from the highest point of number 5, it's number 4 with...
Hey, as part of a cross promotion for Starfire vs. Blaze, this guy's going to be doing the reading for this segment. Check out his channel here. They do awesome comic dubs. Anyway, back to the video.
I am so happy
That was such a jump, but
we've been
okay.
getting a Mario RPG renaissance over the last year or so. Super Mario RPG and Thousand Year Door were fantastic remakes, and I heard Brothership is getting good reviews too. That one doesn't count. IGN reviews never count. And
Oh,
with that
apparently.
Thousand Year
Okay.
Door remake, a whole new generation can experience the best Paper Mario game with the best Mario RPG final dungeon. Enter the Palace of Shadow, where ghouls,
Classic.
flames, and puzzles await those who gathered the 7 crystal stars. Saying this area isn't a test of your skills is like saying Soulsborne games aren't a test of your patience. You start in a
Oh,
gothic mansion
I
where demonic
guess?
enemies and fire bars
I don't
block your
know.
path. It's like if Bowser decided to hire the Addams family as his interior designers. Continuing to a
Oh, that'd be a
tranquil
great
yet
mansion, though.
unsettling fountain area with chain chomps and a tower filled with puzzles to get that mind racing. And ending with a mad dash through a factory where almost all your field and partner skills come to shine. Seriously,
Palace
did
key.
we need a random winning ground pound block or a time switch puzzle with Yoshi? A final level isn't all puzzles and atmosphere. It's also a place for showdowns. Many difficult bosses lay before you.
final
The mighty
fight.
dragon Gloomtail wants revenge on his sister's demise. Grodus, the leader of the Ethnauts, finally gets his hands dirty to take you out. Bowser and Cammy literally drop in to try and finish you off right after. And it all ends with the fabled Shadow Queen, one of the most prolific bosses in Mario's entire
Oh,
catalog,
damn.
testing you with one final difficult
She actually looks good in the remake.
confrontation. Why do I feel like Logan talking about all this? While the remake doesn't add anything new other than some item changes, the new soundtracks make the overall setting even better, with some motifs from old Bowser Castle themes. It's all so good! Great bosses, great level design, great puzzles, great twists. It is the whole package.
Great experience.
This dungeon will
Yes.
push you to your limit with its length and difficulty. Unless you're using Danger Mario strats, then you're probably going to 2-3 turn every boss.
Yeah, that's true. Well, from the storybook of 4, we move to number 3. And it's...
I wanted to include at least one Mass Effect finale, but I couldn't decide between the first and second games, so
Ooh.
I decided
¿Por qué no los dos?
Okay.
Both is good.
the race
That's
against
fine.
time in the first Mass Effect has us back on the Citadel, trying to get the Council's help against the Reapers, except they're kinda freaking useless. The Reapers arrive and it's up to you and your troops
Oh,
to
damn.
fight through them in a massive cinematic blitz. Then we must make a critical decision. Do we risk everything to save the Council, or let them die? Meanwhile, in Mass Effect 2, the final venture is a literal suicide mission where
Oh,
you and a team
yeah.
of your choice must rescue the captured humans from the Collector's base. Given the name, it's a pretty safe bet that someone's gonna die. Unless you made a
Hell, you can actually make a lot of people die.
lot of smart calls and a lot of friends along the way. More on that in a bit. So why do I have these two in one entry? What do they have in common?
The consequences of our actions!
And it's only going to get worse from here.
A lot of games like
Shit.
to dangle the idea that your choices matter in the long run. choosing the right action or the wrong dialogue tree can drastically affect how the rest of the story plays out. The Mass Effect series loved to toy with this concept, and it shines really well in these two final levels, because with every decision, lives are at stake. Going back to Mass Effect 1, the fate of the Council rests in our hands. Putting aside our own feelings for them, and trust me, we have plenty, letting them live guarantees that they finally start taking you seriously.
Ah yes, Reapers.
Bastet.
For the most part.
Bastet.
Yes,
What does
they're
that
still
mean?
useless, but at least they somewhat respect your efforts. If you decide let them rot, things take a bit of a grim turn. A whole new council is elected, we lose out on a few early upgrades, and we're kinda the big dumb bad guys in the new guys' eyes for letting the old guard perish.
Yes.
Damn
very
it.
sad. Anyway.
Yeah, the council
Yeah,
doesn't
every
play
time.
that major a role in 2 and 3, but our decision drastically affects the status quo for the next 2 games. Suicide Mission in Mass Effect 2 is appropriately named and is a testament to how essential your choices are. Picking the right teammates and securing their loyalty is critical from the game's very beginning. Make the right calls while winning everyone's trust? Happy ending to all.
Everybody lives!
It's a
Inversely,
good try.
well, need I say more? I couldn't pick one final level over the other because they're both great at building tension and keeping us on our toes with decision making. One small
accept that.
mistake could alter the status quo for the rest of the trilogy, or frickin' yeet everyone out of this plane of existence. Plus, it's always nice when the decisions actually matter instead of trying to trick you.
Oh,
Future video? Maybe? More likely than you think.
and we move from the multi-endings of Mass Effect to number 2. It's...
One of my favorite tropes in fiction is having an ensemble of characters from different stories come together and bound on a mutual mission. It opens up a lot of opportunities for the chemistry between various protagonists of their own story that you wouldn't otherwise get from just meeting a cast of side characters on a linear adventure. And in a game like Live Alive, this premise is a given as we make our way into the final story.
This is always
the
a cool
Dominion
game.
of Hate. To set the scene, the Demon Lord Odio has awakened through the despair that engulfed the hero knight Erstid. In an effort to destroy the hopes across time, he summons all the heroes who have slain his incarnations into the Middle Ages, where they
That's
are
right.
lined up as lambs to the slaughter. Once you arrive, your chosen hero scours through the now barren kingdom of Lucresh. Aside from all the miscellaneous monsters and mini-bosses, the only signs of life you get here are the other heroes. You can recruit up to 3 of them to your team, with some requiring a little extra effort than others. Now, you can just take the team you want and march
Wait, is his name actually Sundown?
toward the final boss, but
Well, alright.
there's more to the Dominion than that. And if you want to stand a chance against the Demon King, you might want to give them a go. Each hero has a special dungeon with its own set of trials, with the hero's best weapon as a reward for traversing each. They're definitely worth your time, but best of prayers if you ever want to sit through the Trial of Keys. Once you have
We're gonna have
everything
to
you
do it.
need, all that's left is to give Odio a good smack in the face. By which, I mean the eyes, the mouth, and the mole. Take down his legion one more time,
Okay.
set the knight free, and the heroes prevail. And here's the
Oh yeah, that's right. I kind of forgot about that little Easter egg. Oh no, not Easter egg, twist. That Odio you fight in this segment is actually also the player character that you were playing in this segment.
most interesting part. Depending on
forget
which
about that.
hero you chose to lead with, Erstid gets a good variety of receptions as he grieves. We have some who sympathize with him, those who understandably don't, and some who relate with him so much that they're like a reflection of what he could have been if he hadn't lost his way. This is what makes this finale so special. It may not be a masterclass in terms of level design, but the way it culminates all of its stories together for a payoff that's worthwhile for everyone involved is phenomenal. If you just trim down a few tedious parts, this would be the
It's actually still kind of interesting that the 7 heroes you play as are the actual heroes, while the last hero you play as is, in fact, the big bad guy.
the perfect cap
Are
off
we
to
the
a
baddie?
journey for an ensemble of heroes.
We are. And we move on from the 8 to the honorable mentions. I almost said number 1. Not yet.
World of Dracia, Kirby Canvas Curse. I always figured
Cool.
Mario 64 could use more creepy laughing paintings. Apotheosis, Journey, A victory lap of
Oh.
beauty incarnate. Talon of God, Borderlands 2. Ever want to
Neat.
solo a corporate army of robots and elite soldiers to take down a crazed smug CEO? Boy, is there a mission just for you! Temporal Tower, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers.
Never played
a
it.
cinematic trek up a collapsing tower as time is crumbling around you and... Wait, what do you mean there's more game after this? Day 2602, not for broadcast.
Oh, yes.
The full motion video elements are fully utilized, all to make that genocidal dictator squirm. The Azure Tree trails to Azure, the ultimate barrier for Lloyd and friends,
Thought about
even
it.
if solving this crisis will lead to an even longer fight after. World Tree, Xenoblade 2, the fabled tree you were
Huh.
aiming for all game
Second
and you will
tree.
never expect what lies inside. Kefka's Tower, Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy's best.
Not bad.
Game parties trying to
Not bad.
overcome everything the insane magic clown god will throw at them. The Maw, Halo Combat Evolved. A decent level with an
Huh, I actually didn't know there was a second place called The Mall.
adrenaline pumping escape
alright.
in the latter half. Game Over, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
Never
An actually
played.
fun turret section combined with a well-designed desperation event and a satisfying villain death.
And now we move on to number 1. The final level.
My longtime viewers may have already guessed what my number 1 is. Not just because
Is it Fire Emblem related?
I have a teensy bad habit of having the same number 1 in multiple lists, but because when something is number 1, it is that good. Liar. Or in my case, I might be biased. Who knows?
Oh, it's Kingdom Hearts. Well, alright, I was wrong. I said Fire Emblem.
For a world that was apparently never supposed to be, it's really freaking good. Kingdom Hearts
The
2 has
world
you
it
go
never
through
was.
a ton of different Disney worlds, usually at least twice, as you solve the many troubles caused by the otherworldly interlopers with the help of your Disney cohorts. You really
Okay,
want to
that's
take
cool.
the fight to Organization 13, but you just can't seem to find their hideout. Well, of course not. It's lying in between realms, overlooking a random city and a truck that no one seems to know about. And what lies inside is a
Oh.
gauntlet designed to push you
That's... I honestly don't know what to say.
to your limit, both physically and mentally. Never mind you getting in through Axel's sacrifice, you have to start dealing with an emotional Roxas who literally forces himself out of Sora to challenge him to a climactic duel. On the way,
We
new
fight.
and powerful nobodies lay before you as you attempt to climb the castle. Zigbar confronts and taunts you, hinting at other Keyblade wielders that came before. Sora finally reunites with Riku and Kairi after 3 games, even if Riku has the appearance of an old foe.
There's a simple explanation for that.
Syx and Luxord give Sora
Okay,
2
explain.
tests of will. Equally difficult and, in Luxord's case, as difficult as it is gimmicky. From here, the story ramps up. You find the truth about Ansem the Wise. Riku turns back to normal and joins your party. Kingdom Hearts is destroyed, and a flood of Heartless swarm the
Oh, the Kingdom Heart is actually a thing? Huh?
castle. Pete and
Never
Maleficent
played.
help stem the tide as you approach Xemnas. And Xemnas' confrontation leads to a conflict that will put you through the ringer way more than any boss has or will. I mentioned before how this is my favorite level in Kingdom Hearts, and it doesn't disappoint. It might
You know
not
what,
be
I can
full
see
of
why.
puzzles or underlying themes, but it does 2 things that are needed for a great final level. One, it is where the story comes to its conclusion, where all the major players gather for one final act that satisfies the overall story.
Well,
and
alright
2,
then.
a final challenge that tests all you learn throughout the game and does so in a way that is endearing and worth the struggle. Many final levels do this in different ways, but to me, the world that never was does it the best.
That's still a badass
I'm the
scene.
Fiery Joker, and speaking of final, the year is almost over, and soon we will know what made the list. And believe me, there's so much to choose from.
Ooh, here we go. I'm a little late on that, but yeah. Alright everyone, well that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see y'all next time when we flick back on. Until then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.